Welcome back, preschool peeps.
Hello.
So today on the podcast with Cindy and Alison, we're going to talk education budgets. Real talk. Did you like that?
Everyone's favorite topic.
It was like being a news show announcer. Okay.
Today.
So real talk on these education budgets.
Real talk. Okay. Yeah, let's talk about the budget. Yeah, how are they going to do this? How?
So let's
do this.
wait. Let's unravel it, Alison. Let's unravel it. So the economy shut down.
Yeah.
As it likely had to. Okay. The economy shut down. Let's just say it had to.
It had to.
And so then the government isn't getting money.
Mm-hmm.
And the states' governors are asking the federal government for relief packages.
Yeah, and
because there's not, and we already know that education budgets are being slashed.
Yeah.
And we also know that private settings for childcare are also going to have to spend exorbitant amount of money on COVID-19 related things like, and here this is universal, everybody's going to need, oh my gosh, so much disinfectant, I can't imagine it. Masks, right? Masks. Thermometers, alcohol swabs, more disinfectant.
Plastic.
Plastic barriers.
Barriers, yeah.
More. They're going to have to divide children into smaller groups, which ordinarily would mean more adults.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But they can't pay the adults?
They can't pay the adults, and it also means that the same adults are in the same room, at least in childcare, all day. You know, there's no changing of teachers, so therefore no lunch coverage, I guess.
Well, I read a thing. I don't know what state it was from. I don't think it was our state. I don't know what state it was. No, it wasn't our state. It was from another state where they said, or maybe it was the recommendations of the CDC or somebody, where they said the people who handle the young children's food can't also toilet or diaper them or something. And I thought, where are you getting all these extra people? Like,
where are you getting these extra people?
Who are these extra food people or these extra toileting or diapering people? So there's the people at every age group, right? The people, the cleaning, the health things they need. So in New Jersey, they announced this week, and someone out there can contact us and correct me if I'm wrong, but they announced all these policies and procedures for reopening childcare in the next couple of weeks. And they said to childcare centers, we're going to offer $5,000 grants for supplies. Oh, also, the children can't share toys and stuff, so you need duplicates of everything. Okay, so
where are you buying that?
I don't know where you're buying that. So they said,
where are you getting money for that?
I don't even know where you're going to find it at this point.
No, you're not.
Right, so they said, we're going to give out $5,000 grants. And I looked at that number and I was like, they're going to blow through that.
$5,000. Okay. Let me just tell you that I heard at a meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So this is public school, that those little, the disinfectant kind of things, especially those like fog machines that they need to disinfect buses with, cost thousands of dollars. Thousands, like up to $6,000 for that little gun machine that fogs the buses or whatever you want.
I know what you mean, because I took my car for an oil change because they had the fog machines. I was willing to do it.
Yeah, but those cost a lot of money, and you want a child care center to afford that on $5,000? Okay, yeah.
And public schools too, though. Where
are they getting? Okay, public schools. Where are you getting the money? Because already before COVID, budgets were getting cut before COVID.
Yeah.
Now you have COVID. Okay, so now they had to figure out, like, well, wait, we're going to have to spend thousands of dollars on just safety stuff because they have to provide the masks, which, from what I heard, New York City, that's millions of masks a day. A day, Cindy. Millions a day. Okay.
Wait, I'm trying to do the math, but I'm not that good at math. Go ahead.
Millions of masks a day. Okay. And they want to provide them because they're saying, well, if the kids come in with their own cloth masks, there's not enough to know, like, did they clean it at home? Is this a proper
Oh,
mask? So they want to provide them. Yes. So, because then they're saying like, well, if a kid comes in with their cloth mask and that then spreads around, is that the school's fault because you let them in with a cloth mask? So they want to buy those surgical or whatever, those ones that the nurses wear or whatever. Okay. New York City, just New York City alone, millions of masks a day. Okay. First of all, do we even have that many masks? And second, where are you getting the money to buy all this? And that's just masks and fog machines. And then you want them to buy more toys duplicating, more teachers. So like the public schools already got funding cut before COVID. Now they're going to have to cut more. More teachers are going to have to get laid off.
And they're going to have to cut.
But then they need more teachers to make the groups smaller.
But they're saying they're not going to be able to pay the teachers they have. Right. Isn't that what the states are saying? Unless they get significant federal assistance.
Which,
and by the way,
getting.
Yes, I agree. There needs to be significant federal assistance.
Yeah.
And where is the federal government getting all this money that keeps being given out to us? I don't. And to budgets. And
Wait,
I don't know about economics. I'm not good at this.
I don't either. But I know trillions of dollars went out for a stimulus.
Which was needed. Needed.
All that money could have went to like schools to begin with, or these other programs to begin with, or help the homeless to begin with, and now, so they're just.
You mean before COVID? So wait, are you saying was there money we could have actually spent on increasing Social Security, helping the homeless?
That's what I'm saying. Because
healthcare.
What do you think? They just printed the money and said, "Okay, here you go, your stimulus."
Yeah, I mean, really, like it's I know nothing about economics. I do think.
Any economics teacher out there, please help us.
Please contact us. We have no clue.
Right. We have no idea.
But here's what we do know. Here's what we do know, you and me. We know what budgets are like in education. They're always tight, whether you're a private child care center or a large public school. Education budgets are always tight. We're always hearing about cuts. We're always hearing about cuts in the arts and cuts in clubs and cuts in teachers. The town I live in had to close my children's elementary. It's a large town. But they had to close one of our elementary schools because of cuts from the state budget last year or the year before.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, so now they're going to cut even more.
They're going to use that building next year, I guarantee it.
Now they're going to cut even more. But you need a bazillion alcohol wipes and a bazillion masks and more but less personnel. And come on.
Multiple teachers in a room. I mean, I don't understand. And like my friend, she lives in another state too. She said that her district that her kids go to, they cut all PE, all music, all art for kindergarten all the way through grade 12, all sports. So I want to pose this question. Is that school? Is that education? Like you want your child to go to school just for academics and not get all that other stuff? And if your child is a music kid or an art kid, now you have to pay extra to give them the music because you're not going to get it at school anymore. Is that school?
What should education? Oh, wait, last episode I was on a soapbox. I'm going to put Alison on hers. Alison, what should it be?
Well, it should be cutting all. I don't know what it should be because I understand that they're cutting those teachers to get the extra money to pay for all these safety things. I get that. But then what about the kids? The kids who go to school because they love music or they love phys ed or they, you know what I mean? Like,
let's say this too. Let's say
down to a point where it's just them sitting in a class. I don't know.
Let's say the virus is with us for a while because they're saying we're not going to have a vaccine for 18 months to 2 years at least, right?
At least.
Yeah. How are they sustaining these purchases? How are they sustaining it?
Yes.
That's what I'm. Or are they banking on a certain percentage of children not coming back? But even so.
Well, I did hear that they're banking on a bunch of teachers not coming back because
I read a thing about how 1 in 5 teachers or something.
1 in 5 teachers are not returning. And for some of it, it is they're older or they're immunocompromised and they can't. Mm-hmm. And some are just scared and they don't want to come back, but I think.
Yeah, but I read a post about that on Facebook that it was horrifying to me. How people were commenting from the public, not teachers. It was the public sort of talking about how horrible teachers are because they wouldn't want to go back. And I want to repeat what Alison said.
Yeah.
They're in high risk groups.
Yeah.
They have elderly relatives who they have to care for.
Right.
Teachers are whole people with a lot of considerations,
they
folks.
might be
And if
taking
they can,
care of an immunocompromised child.
they might be. I mean, we can't judge why people wouldn't go back. I think it's true for many workplaces. And I also think that if you are not in the right emotional headspace to be working with children, you need to know that and not go back. Don't go back.
But if
you can afford it.
We have
but
to
a lot
stop,
of people can't afford to not work. Go ahead.
Right. That we have to stop acting like teachers are like these angels and saviors that they like, and if they don't want to go back like that, like I was reading this whole like thread on, I don't know what social media at this point, but it was like this parent complaining that their child child's teacher didn't go like above and beyond in this pandemic. Like she wasn't like driving by the kids' houses like some of the other teachers were, like, or dropping off little notes and cookies like some other teachers were. And I'm like, but is that the teacher's job to be like doing all this extra stuff? And then because they're treated like, oh, you're a horrible teacher because you didn't do that. You're a horrible teacher because you didn't do the teacher parade. You're a horrible teacher because you didn't drop little cutesy notes in the mail for you. Like, no, like why? I'm a person. Like, and it's not that I don't love the children that I have, but I can't afford to be buying things for the kids to be dropped off. Okay. So like, that doesn't make me a horrible teacher. You know, good for those teachers that want to do that and have the time to do that and have the money to do that. But not every teacher is, because we're people, okay? Like who have lives outside of school, you know,
who have concerns outside of school.
And
it's true. Maybe 1 in 5 of them won't return. And that might be true for many workplaces, folks. I don't know why we're focusing that just on teachers. I believe there are going to be many workplaces. And in many workplaces where they have figured out they can work remotely, they're going to just stay that way. Where in teaching, if they say, we're opening our doors and there's going to be no online option, then you have to make your choice. Am I going or am I not? There's no in between unless there's I think there'll be online options in the fall in many places, or at least starting online or something. But if they were to say, no, the doors are open and now there's no online options, then people have personal decisions to make. Mm-hmm. Like, I get that. But I think that we do have to talk about the sustainability of this over time for what number of children.
I don't know
how is this
you are sustaining this. Like, take the child care centers out there who already are strapped for cash, right? To begin with. Then they had to close for multiple
weeks. Run on very thin margins.
Very thin, yeah. So now you have where you have to have smaller groups, therefore you have to hire more teachers, right? I mean, there's that. Or you have to limit your enrollment, which lowers your tuition costs, you know, your income. But then you have like, the teachers aren't allowed to move around. And I know like when I worked in childcare, after a certain hour, you would combine classes and then a teacher would go home. Okay, now you can't combine classes so that teacher can go home because they all
that's more money.
Room. So you either have to then say, hey, we're going to open our center, but it's only going to be open from 8 to 5 because and all the teachers work 8 to 5 and that's it. Or I have to hire multiple people and they all have to be in that room all day long because we can't switch around. You know, so like childcare centers already had issues with payroll to begin with, and now you're asking them to either hire more people or cut I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it. How are they going to do that? On top of buying all the stuff they need to buy to open to begin with.
I don't know. So I mean, this is a budgetary nightmare. And especially if the states don't get the additional funding from the federal government, they're going to be laying off massively in the schools. Right. So
and at that point, maybe they should do remote learning, because you could say, we don't have to be in person. This teacher right now could have 40 kids in her class because it's online.
Okay, you know? Listen, I've done professional development with adults with 40 people, and it's hard to manage the adults with 40 people. I don't know. But
I have 7 kids in my class right now. Do you want to? There are 3. I can't. It's hard with that amount.
It's hard.
You know? I have a feeling like budget-wise, they would say that, hey, we could just, you know, you're not in the classroom with them, so here you go. You know.
So if we're saying we don't understand how this is budgetarily feasible over the long term of this disease, or what's going to happen with school budgets. what do we propose? Allison, we can't put something out there that we have no proposal. We have to propose something.
How are we going to do this? I don't know.
Especially if the unemployment stays really high, which it likely will stay high. I mean, some people are going to go back, but there are going to be lots of places that never reopen and there'll be no jobs, particularly in the retail sector, I think.
That's true. So, that's already happening around here. Restaurants have closed.
Yeah.
So
things the big chains are closed. So what's the solution then? If this is a budgetary nightmare, a large part of this budgetary nightmare has to do with the disinfecting, the temperature taking,
the purchasing,
the alcohol swabs, the purchasing.
Things.
Maybe thought needs to be given to how the reopen limits expenses by deciding exactly who comes back where, prioritizing the most in need of that building versus the people who don't actually need. I was reading something, and in need, I don't just mean monetarily, I mean also emotionally. But I was reading something, I don't remember where it was from. I don't even know if it was from the United States. It could have been from another country. Maybe Canada. I don't know. If you're from Canada and you're listening to us and I'm wrong about that, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I read
just let us know. We're easily corrected.
We're really open. Yeah. We're really open to being corrected.
Yeah.
And we may even say it on a future episode.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where it was, but there was somewhere where they were talking about the reopening of schools. And they were saying that they're going to do it based on actual need of the families to return to a workplace with no other childcare options, as well as the prioritization of children with special needs who need in-person therapies.
Okay.
And that the people who can be home, who can work at home, who can make arrangements from home, are being told you are not on our highest priority list. And again, this may have been about childcare versus public school systems, but to be told, because somebody put down something about, it's 10 people per class, per group, which is what everyone's saying now, particularly about childcare, 10 children per group. We have this many classes, and so we could potentially take this many people, but now we can only take this many people. And how do you decide was the question. How do you decide who comes back?
How do you decide?
And it has to be by this need-based thing where there has to be some sort of vetting of need. But I still say that part of that decision-making of how do we decide who comes back there has to be the question, how many do we decide come back? Because of budgets.
Well, yeah.
Because they have to be able to say we can sustain with this number of kids over 2 years.
2 years, my God. But they do, because even though say the regulation is 10 kids per group, but you don't have enough teachers to spread those 10 kids a group. You know what I mean? Maybe you have enough that you can do. I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even know. If you don't have enough
she's getting a headache. Allison is holding her
head. It's
Allison, you're holding your head because you get paid by the public school system and you're like, oh my God.
Oh no, I already had that thought. I already had that thought because in our school, we have a very big preschool team, right? And there's not a lot of kids enrolled for next year. So I already thought okay, I could be the one that gets laid off. I'm the last preschool teacher to get hired. So not the last, I'm the second to last, but the last one is a special ed. So she's going to be needed. And I already thought of that. I was like, well, they could easily put 30, I think there's 30 kids enrolled and 5 teachers. They could easily do that with 2 teachers, 3 teachers, I've already thought of that. But, I do think there's going to be a lot of teachers that maybe do have their job that are going to move into these different roles. So if you're a specials teacher, you might be teaching in a classroom just so that they have enough teachers to make the group smaller.
Yeah, but you also have just so many classrooms.
Right. Spacing wise, I have no idea how they're going to do this. Spacing wise, I have no clue.
And this is why we haven't heard anything about what they're going to do, because they don't know either.
Right. But I also feel I know other states have put out their protocols already, their plans, like Maryland and a couple other states. But it gets to a point where like you need to release that so parents can decide what to do. And if they're going to need to make arrangements in September, if they decide not to send their kid based on those protocols, you know, like you can't announce it like in August and be like, oh, we're starting in 2 weeks. Here you go. Like, and have all these parents and teachers or whatever have no time to make arrangements for other things, you know, like they might need to arrange childcare. They might need to arrange it, especially if it's going to be like an alternating schedule. Like you need to tell parents so they can figure that out. You know, you shouldn't be waiting much longer. And I understand it's very, very hard, but we knew this was going to happen a while ago. So like, I don't know.
Now the budget, and now the budget, and now the real talk about the budget, about the cutting of the budget because of the lack of and I understand why budgets have to be cut.
Oh, I get it.
I get it. I understand that. The question is, how are things going to be? Oh my gosh, it's overwhelming. I can't even.
It's totally overwhelming. I'm glad I'm not in a job that has to figure that out.
I don't envy, you know, people are so angry. People are so angry at people in the government, at people in power, at people in the Board of Education, at people, at the superintendents. I wouldn't want their job right now.
No,
anything. Not for anything.
Yeah, because I know people are pretty mad about like their governors and whatever, and I'm like,
you
know what? Do you want that job?
No.
You think you could do a better job? Because you know what? Like they're doing I have to weigh human life and health and money for my state and people. How do you weigh that? With all the haters on social
media?
Like, hating on me at social media and like.
No, I couldn't be a politician. This is, if I ever thought to myself, politics, I wonder. No. That's over now. I could never.
First off, I've never had that thought. But
no, me neither. Really, I've never thought it.
I certainly don't. I wouldn't be able to I couldn't do that. I couldn't
Alison
have my thought. Like criticize like that.
Allison and I once served on a board together. That was as far as we're going.
That's as far as we went. Notice that we're not on that board.
Yeah, we're done.
There was only so much we could do, and then we were like, gotta go, guys. And there's because
I learned from that experience.
I learned that was not.
Don't even go to the meeting if you don't want to be involved. That's what I learned from that. And I definitely would not want to be someone making these very heady decisions. And I think families need to realize when they keep saying, just reopen, nothing will be the same, including the spending of money there. Nothing's going. And so then what are people going to do? They're going to complain the specials were cut and the gym teacher is now teaching science. And like, what is happening there? Because Alison is now like the office worker, the teacher, and the bus driver. So I don't understand how this is working. Like, people are going to be unhappy. I think people are going to be unhappy.
It doesn't matter what
over time. In the beginning, right? They're going to be mad. In the beginning, they may be like, "Oh, thank God, everything's open. Go back." And then all of a sudden, they're going to be like, "Wait a minute, whatever happened to this program or that thing or this person?"
Yeah, because there's going to be a lot of programs that are cut.
Yeah,
it's not the same. It's not going to be the same anymore. It's not going to look anything like what you think it's going to look like.
No, Alison and I have been reading and looking at models and researching and talking to people, and it is not going to look like what you wish.
No. And if you think it's going back to the way it was,
it's not.
There's
now.
Yeah.
Maybe not ever if we have to worry about future pandemics.
Well, yeah. But I think even like if you're hoping to see that maybe your favorite teacher there, she might not be there. He might not be there. He might have to stay home to take care of his kids. He might need to stay home because he's immunocompromised. She might have to stay home for whatever reason. It's not the same. It's not going to be the same group that you left.
And I truly believe this is, it's hard to know what to believe and it's hard to know what to think at times like this, but I'll tell you one thing I truly believe. Those of us who can stay home, those of us who have been working from home, those people who can just be home, those of us who can have the ability to do what we do from home should stay home, so that those people who do not have the ability to do what they do from home and they have to go back out there to support their families are not in as big a crowd. I really believe that those of us who can stay home should stay home. I really believe that those of us who can do our work from outside the school building shouldn't seek to go into the school building. And I say that from the viewpoint of someone who has gone to schools consistently through my consulting career to observe classes. I should not be seeking to do that. I should be seeking to look for a way, and I am helping administrators and teachers from this distance to provide less risk to them and to me.
Yeah.
I think we have to mitigate risk for people. Yeah. So I understand that some of the cuts and some of the decisions that are going to have to be made may actually mitigate risk too. But I just can't figure out how it's going to budgetarily sustain and work. And I think people, for no other reason on this podcast, people need to be aware of that, right?
Yeah.
And I think, here's what I would love. Those of you who are in the, just the painful position of trying to figure out how to make this work monetarily. Yeah. Let's forget about the social distancing and the wearing of the masks. Let's forget about, the figuring out staggered schedules. Let's forget about that for a second. Those of you who are in the painful position of trying to figure out budgetarily, how are we making this work? We would like to hear from you. How is it feeling to you? What is it going on? We would like to be your advocates too. So send us a contact form from howpreschoolteachersdoit.com or comment on, or send us a message through Facebook, because we would like to know. And I think that the world needs to know that flaming hoops you people are trying to jump through right now. I don't think people recognize it. Yeah,
I don't think now is the time to quietly be like, oh, look at it. No. Tell people what you're going through. Shout it from the mountaintops if you have to, because people need to know. Government needs to know. This isn't working. This is excruciating. This is painful. This is hard. And I think the more people that know that, instead of quietly being like, oh yeah, no, we'll just quietly do it. No. Now's not the time. Tell people.
Right.
Tell people.
And next, Alison and I will bring our personal budgets to rip apart. Because I don't know how that's working either.
I don't know how any of it's working, guys.
I'm okay. I'm okay. I think, so I don't know. We're going to end with, I don't know. I don't know how that's going to sustain or work. And I hope that the states get the relief they're seeking. But again, where is the federal government even getting that money? So, if you're an economics major and you understand where all this money is coming from, please contact us.
Can we
let us know. We'd like to learn. We'd like to understand.
I like learning. I like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Time on this podcast.
Oh no! You know what? Alison froze. She's been having trouble with her internet. So, and I mentioned on the last episode, we got through some without internet issues, but we have internet issues now. So what I'm going to do is it's time anyway. I'm going to sign us off and tell you to please rate, subscribe, write to us, give us 5 stars. We're not always with one person frozen like this. And we'll catch you next time on the podcast.